Hey guys, it is Friday, December the 29th, 2023, and I want to come on and share something with you that the Father has been impressing upon my heart strongly to share with you what I believe He's been showing me about something, and it's vital information for the times that we're living in and for what is coming. As many of you that are watching with me can see, there is a war coming, and we need to be ready for it. And this is an important message here, so I want to share this with you guys. And so, sorry for the shaky camera. I'm trying to hold this still, but this is regarding that story about the demoniac boy that was healed. Now, this is mentioned in Matthew 17, and it is specifically what I want to reference here is in verse 20 and 21. Now, I've got 21 covered up right now because we're going to come back to this. But just to give you a recap now, it's after the transfiguration. Peter, James, and John have been up on the mountain with Yeshua. When they come back down, the remaining disciples have been trying to cast a demon out of a boy, and they were unable to do it. So then they come to Yeshua as soon as he approaches them, and they asked why they couldn't cure him. And Yeshua, you can read the frustration in his voice. "Oh, faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? Bring the boy to me." Okay, so in other words, I'm going to put this in layman's terms. How long do I have to put up with you people? Bring the boy, So poor Yeshua, he's just got to be frustrated at this point. And it says Yeshua rebuked the demon and it departed out of him, and the child was cured from that very hour. And the disciples asked him, "Why couldn't we do that?" And Yeshua says to them, "Because of your unbelief. For verily I say unto you, if you have faith as a grain of mustard seed, you shall say unto this mountain, remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible unto you." Now, this same story is told over here in Mark 9, and it's told again in Luke. Now, Mark gives a couple of different changes to that story. Doesn't mention the fig tree, doesn't mention faith is a mustard seed, any of that. It just talks about how this kind comes forth by nothing but by prayer and fasting. And if some of you have translations where that verse in Matthew is removed, this over here in, 17 here, where this verse 21 is removed, they'll explain it's because it's already mentioned in Mark, right? And then you've got Luke's account over here in Luke 9, and he doesn't say anything about faith as a mustard seed or moving mountains. He just doesn't even say about prayer and fasting. So I'm not going to mention this story from Luke or Mark anymore. We're going to stick with Matthew's account because we get a lot more detail in context over here in Matthew. So what I want to show you and what the Father's been showing me about this. Okay, we're going to be asked to do some things. And we're going to need to know this information for what's coming, okay? So when the disciples asked Yeshua why they couldn't do it, he said it was because of their unbelief. Now, when Yeshua gave us information over in Matthew 10:1, I want you to notice this, okay? Matthew 10:1, when he had called unto him his 12 disciples, he gave them power against unclean spirits to cast them out and to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease. Does he say right there, but now some are going to be a little stronger than others and you're going to have to do extra steps? Right? No, he doesn't, because he's imparting his power and his authority onto his disciples. All right, another point that I want to show you is in Matthew 21, where it's verse 21 and 22. Yeshua reminds them about removing mountains with just a mustard seed of faith. If you say to a mountain, be moved, it will be removed and cast into the sea, and it shall be done. And all things whatsoever you shall ask in prayer, believing, you shall receive. Now, when we are talking about operating in Yeshua's authority, he doesn't say, but some aren't going to submit to your authority in my authority in you because some demons are more powerful than others. No, it has nothing to do with the power and the authority of the demons. It's all the authority of Yahushua. Okay, so let's go back to Matthew 17 here. When he is talking to his disciples and they say, why couldn't we do it? He doesn't say, because you didn't pray and fast, because this is a special demon and you have to do certain extra steps to remove this kind of demon. No, he says it's because of their unbelief. And then he goes on to say, nothing shall be impossible to you if you have the faith of a mustard seed. Howbeit, this kind goes not out but by prayer and fasting. What kind? Unbelief. Are you all reading that the same way I'm reading that? Because he doesn't say a certain kind. If he were giving us instruction as his disciples, he's not going to say, okay, this is what you have to do for this one kind of demon, and you have to do another thing for another kind of demon because some are more powerful than others. He doesn't tell us what kind. If it were referring to the demons, right? Wouldn't we need to know that information? But he does tell us what kind. Unbelief. Right there. This kind, the spirit of unbelief, only goes out by prayer and fasting. Because once you get a handle on that spirit of unbelief in your own life, nothing shall be impossible unto you. And that's what the Father is showing me. We have got to pray and fast to remove the spirit of unbelief in our own lives so that nothing is impossible for us through him. Now, notice what he had said over in Matthew 21. Pray believing, and you shall receive. Then nothing shall be impossible for you. Nothing. We see an extra warning over here in James 1. All right. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of the Father that gives to all men liberally and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. For he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea driven with the wind and tossed. For let not that man think that he shall receive anything of the Father. A double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. That's what the disciples were grappling with. They were double-minded. They had unbelief. They doubted. Do you remember what Yeshua told Peter? When Peter came out onto the water, we're told that Peter looked down at the waves and became afraid, and he began to sink. And Yeshua went to him and pulled him up out of the waves. And did he say, why did you fear? No. Yeshua said, why did you doubt? So we know from that account that doubt is equal to fear. And the word unbelief means doubt. So unbelief means fear. And these disciples, I imagine a crowd had gathered. Here's a father with his young son, and these events were transpiring. And I'm sure that the disciples, because of their unbelief, were starting to doubt if they could cast this demon out. Well, we just read in James 1 that anyone that has any kind of double-minded thoughts, fear, doubt, unbelief, it says, will the Father give anything to that person? Because they're double-minded. You have to believe beyond a shadow of a doubt. That faith, that same kind of faith that moves mountains, that makes nothing impossible for you, is what we must be striving for right now. Because the Father's going to call us to do some things. And Yeshua said everything he did, we're going to do and more. But we can't do it if we have any shred of unbelief. So what Yeshua is talking about here in Matthew 17, that spirit that only comes out by prayer and fasting, that is the spirit of unbelief. Not a special kind of stronger demon that they got to do certain extra things for, but the spirit of unbelief. That kind only comes out by prayer and fasting. So guys, I would just ask you that if right now you feel like you would have any trace of fear or doubt or unbelief when the Father calls you to do the things he's going to call us to do, amazing things that is going to spread faith like a wildfire, People are going to see you walking in this, and that faith is going to become so contagious, it's going to spread. And that's what the demons are afraid of. The enemy is terrified that we'll get a handle on this, and we will submit that any unbelief in our hearts through prayer and fasting will get it out of our vessels, so that our vessels are emptied of ourselves, any trace of unbelief, any fear, any doubt. And the Father, through whom nothing is impossible, will be able to use you to do those things that he's going to call you to do. And the enemy does not want you to know that. This is going to be an amazing time. And we've seen how contagious fear is, especially over the last few years with all that's been going on. Imagine how much more powerful faith is if only a mustard seed's worth can move a mountain. But we often block that move of the Father in our lives because of unbelief. And we need to pray and fast to get that spirit of unbelief out of us, away from us. And when we do that, nothing will be impossible for us, for you. So take this time now. Ask the Father to show you any trace of fear, doubt, unbelief, anything, so that the moment he calls you to do the amazing things he's going to call us to do, we won't hesitate. We won't sit there and wring our hands with some kind of double-minded fear or doubt, thinking, what if this doesn't work? What if I go out and say, in Yahushua's name be healed, and they're not healed? What then? No. You go out there with his authority and with his power, and that demon will tremble and submit to Yeshua in you. So thank you all for listening. Sorry for the shaky camera. But this, I believe, is what Matthew 17, 20 and 21 is talking about. Pray and ask the Father and fast to remove the spirit of unbelief in you, and watch what he will do. Thank you for listening. Have a blessed day.